Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasha Chadesha Tarane. And we're picking up from Adi-lila, the chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance, text 51. This looks like a difficult melody. Sureshanam durgam gatir atishayena panishadam. That's not it. Not what it is. It's probably like Chaitardarpanamarjanam bhavamaha. Sureshanam durgam gatir atishayeno panishadam muninam sarvaswam pranata patalinam madurima vinir yasha premno nikila pashu palambujadrisham Sachaitanya klime punar apidrishor yasyati padam. Lord Chaitanya is the shelter of the demigods, the goal of the Upanishads, the be-all and end-all of the great sages, the beautiful shelter of his devotees, and the essence of love of the lotus-eyed gopis. Will he again be the object of my vision? Let's see. Krishna's quoting a verse. Yeah. No, but it's in quotations. Okay, good. See, it's in quotations. And the next, so it continues in the next verse, and it says, text 51 and 52 are respectively Pratama Sri Chaitanyastikam 2 and Dvitiya Sri Chaitanyastikam 3 from the Stavamala of Srila Rupa Goswami. So Krishnadas Kaviraj is quoting Rupa Goswami. Yeah. Is it Rupa Goswami? No, it's Krishnadas Kaviraj is quoting Rupa Goswami in the text, because he just made the point here that Lord Gauranga is Sri Hari himself, accepting the sentiments of Radha and thus filled with his own desires. So now he's quoting Rupa Goswami to back up his statement. Yeah. Okay, 52. Aparam Kashyapi Pranayi Jana Vrindasya Kutuki Rasastom Amritva Maduram Upabhuktam Kam Apiyaha Rucham Swam Avivredyutim Ihatadiyam Prakatayan Sadevas Chaitanya Kritir Atitaram Na Kripayatu.
Lord Krishna desired to taste the limitless nectarian mellows of the love of one of his multitude of loving themselves, Sri Radha, and so he assumed the form of Lord Chaitanya. He has taken that love while hiding his own dark complexion with her refulgent yellow color. May that Lord Chaitanya conquer upon us his grace.
Confer upon us, yeah. Okay, good. So he's basically saying the same thing. It's Krishna, the Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, but he desired to taste the limitless nectarian mellows of the love of Sri Radha. And so he assumed the form of Lord Chaitanya. So he's actually Krishna, but he hides his dark complexion with her effulgent yellow complexion because he takes on her mood and her complexion. So text 53, now Krishnadas Kaviraj is going to go ahead with his own words. Bhava grahanera hetu kaila dharma stapana tara mukhya hetu kahi shuna sarvajana. To accept the ecstatic love, this the stage. I shall now explain that reason. Everyone please listen. Yeah, so that's the main reason, to experience the ecstatic love of Srimati Radharani. And now he is actually going to explain that further. So now we're going to go deep into the ecstatic love of Radha for Krishna. Woo, it's going to get pretty deep here. Mula hetu age shlokera kaila abhasa eve kahi se shlokera artha prakasha.
First, it's a good reason. It is Lord Priya. Now I shall manifest its full meaning.
Okay. I have a long verse here that's quote. This is from Swarup Damodar Goswami. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmad Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Puradeha Bedam Gatoto Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Aduna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. Divya, would you like to read? Text 55.
Sure, thank you so much. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Caitanya. I bow down to him. He has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. This text is from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. It appears as the fifth of the first 14 verses of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah, so Radha and Krishna are essentially one. They're like two halves of the same body. But for the sake of pastimes, they have separated themselves into two so that they can interact, right? And Radha can serve Krishna, Krishna can serve Radha. They can enjoy each other's company. But now they have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Yeah. So, text 56. Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dui Deha Dhari Anyanye Vilase Rasa Asvadana Kari. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. Purport. The two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to materialists. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these two personalities. One is enjoying in two. Sri Krishna is a potent factor, and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. According to Vedanta philosophy, there is no difference between the potent and the potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from heat. Everything in the absolute is inconceivable in relative existence. Therefore, in relative cognizance, it is very difficult to assimilate this truth of oneness between the potent and the potency. The philosophy of inconceivable oneness and difference propounded by Lord Caitanya is the only source of understanding for such intricacies of transcendence. In fact, Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Mahabhagavat devotee. The very name Radha suggests that Srimati Radharani is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavan therefore seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally approaches the fallen conditioned souls of the Iron Age to deliver the highest principle of transcendental relationships with the Lord. The activities of Lord Chaitanya are primarily in the role of the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. The absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the omnipotent form of transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss in full. His internal potency is exhibited first as sat, or existence, or in other words, as the portion that expands the existence function of the Lord. When the same potency displays full knowledge, it is called chit, or samvit, which expands the transcendental forms of the Lord. Finally, when the same potency plays as a pleasure-giving medium, it is known as ladini, or the transcendental blissful potency. Thus, the Lord manifests his internal potency in 3 transcendental divisions. So, yeah, he has the sat, chit, and ananda, or sat, samvit, and ladini. Lord's 3 different potencies. And yeah, Radharani is ladini potency. So, Prabhupada makes a nice point here that the activities of Lord Chaitanya are primarily in the role of the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. So, yeah, when Lord Chaitanya, his activities are all driven by this pleasure-giving potency, right? So not only is he always giving pleasure to Krishna by his devotional service, by chanting and but also he's giving pleasure to Krishna by bringing the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. So this is Lord Chaitanya's mission. Yeah.
So, Radha is
Yeah. I didn't hear that. I don't remember.
is for like Krishna is not
It can be changed because it says Chit or Samvit, which expands the transcendental forms of the Lord. So, like, around expansion. So,
So
it can be
makes
changed.
sense, yeah.
It's full knowledge.
We're going to get to that because we haven't unpacked Balaram
Because
Tattva yet.
what do you think?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So I wanted to make this point here that because we're Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we come in the line of Lord Chaitanya. And so to the extent that we participate in Lord Chaitanya's mission, of delivering the fallen souls, giving the mercy, distributing books, distributing holy name, distributing prasadam, basically helping others come to Krishna consciousness, then we are also acting in the role of the pleasure-giving potency, right? And that's why these activities are so blissful, right? That whenever you go out and preaching, like outreach, it's like very blissful when new people are coming and they're joining in the kirtan, or they're taking a book, or they're like taking prasadam, they're appreciating Krishna in some way, or new people are coming to our programs and we're talking to them. It's like really ecstatic because this is Lord Chaitanya's mission, and we're connecting with Lord Chaitanya by serving his mission. And by connecting with Lord Chaitanya, we're connecting with the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency, which is, so then we're naturally feeling pleasure. So that's the science behind why preaching is so ecstatic. Yeah. Okay, text 57. Sui sei dui eka ebe Chaitanya gosai rasa asvadite donhe haila eka tani.
Yes. Now to enjoy rasa, they have appeared in one body as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
It's a small one.
Text 58. Itti lagi age kari tara vivarana yaha haite haya gorera mahima katana.
The first delineate from that description, the glory of Lord Chaitanya will be known.
So, yeah, we want to understand the glories of Lord Chaitanya. We have to understand the glories of Radha and Krishna, because he is Radha and Krishna together. Right? Remember I was saying sometimes people think that, Lord Chaitanya is just an incarnation of Krishna. But actually, he is Krishna and plus. He's Krishna plus. Krishna plus Radha. So in one sense, Lord Chaitanya is greater than Krishna. And we see that his mercy is also greater. He's the most magnanimous, most generous, most merciful. He's the Karuna avatar. 59. Radhika Hayena Krishnara Pranaya Vikara Swarupa Shakti Hladini Namayan Hara.
Srimati Radhika is the transformation of Krishna's love. She is his internal energy called Ladini.
Imagine, Krishna's love is so powerful. And she's literally like the personification of Krishna's love. Like, what a personality, right? Crazy. Because Krishna, he has all these facets to his personality, right? He's loving, but he also kills the demons. He also sometimes gets angry. He also sometimes speaks philosophy. And, so he has all these multifacets to his personality. But if you just extract the love only without any of the other things, and then you just like make that into a person, that's Radharani. Text 60. Ladini Karaya Krishna Anandashvadana Ladinira Dwara Kare Bhaktera Poshana. Divya.
Thank you. That Hiladini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately discussed the Hiladini potency in his Priti Sandarbha. He says that the Vedas clearly state only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. Only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is attracted by devotional service, and as such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. What is the particular attraction that makes the Supreme Lord enthusiastic to accept devotional service? And what is the nature of such service? The Vedic scriptures inform us that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is self-sufficient and that Maya, nescience, can never influence him at all. Therefore, the potency that overcomes the Supreme must be purely spiritual. Such a potency cannot be anything of the material manifestation. The bliss enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be of material composition, like the impersonalist conception of the bliss of Brahman. Devotional service is reciprocation between two, and therefore it cannot be located simply within oneself. Therefore, the bliss of self-realization, Brahmananda, cannot be equated with devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has three kinds of internal potency, namely the Hiladini Shakti, or pleasure potency, the Sandhini Shakti, or existential potency, and the Samvit Shakti, or cognitive potency. In the Vishnu Purana 1.12.69, the Lord is addressed as follows: O Lord, you are the support of everything. The three attributes, Hiladini, Sandhini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. But the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you, for you have no material qualities. Hiladini is the personal manifestation of the blissfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he enjoys pleasure. Because the pleasure potency is perpetually present in the Supreme Lord, the theory of the impersonalist that the Lord appears in the material mode of goodness cannot be accepted. The impersonalist conclusion is against the Vedic version that the Lord possesses a transcendental pleasure potency. When the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is exhibited by his grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. Love of God is an epithet for the pleasure potency of the Lord. Therefore, devotional service reciprocated between the Lord and his devotee is an exhibition of the transcendental pleasure potency of the Lord. The potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that always enriches him with transcendental bliss is not material, but the Shankarites have accepted it as such because they are ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and his pleasure potency. Those ignorant persons cannot understand the distinction between impersonal spiritual bliss and the variegatedness of the spiritual pleasure potency. The Hladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure, and the Lord bestows such a potency upon his pure devotee.
So, yeah, what we're learning here is that Krishna is not pleased by anything material, right? It has to be, he's only pleased by his Hladini Shakti. So if we want to please him, then we have to
Radharani.
we have to go through Radharani, basically. And to the extent that we connect with Srimati Radharani, to that extent that we're able to actually give pleasure to Krishna. And says here that when the pleasure potency of the Lord is exhibited by his grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. So we can also, not only that we have to be connected with Radharani to please Krishna, but we have to be, right? That's what it says, that only when the pleasure potency is exhibited by Krishna's grace in the person of a devotee, then that manifestation is called love of God. Yeah. Devotional service reciprocated between the Lord and his devotee is an exhibition of the transcendental pleasure potency of the Lord. So any service that we do for Krishna that's actually devotional service, and not just some mechanical thing that we're doing, but is actually done with devotion, the devotional aspect which induces Krishna to accept that service and reciprocate with that service is an exhibition of the pleasure potency of the Lord. So it's only by the grace of Srimati Radharani, right, that we're able to have that connection, that relationship, that loving exchange with Krishna, that feeling of devotion within our heart. It comes from Srimati Radharani's mercy.
I like what it is saying here, love of God is an epithet for the pleasure potency of the Lord. So it's like, yeah, whatever you're getting, it's actually Srimati Radharani.
Yeah.
It's like,
That means like another name for, right?
yeah.
Yeah, love of God means Radharani. Without Radharani, there's no love of God. She's literally the source and the repository, and there's no love for God without Srimati Radharani. All love of God comes from her love of God.
Or it is Srimati.
Yeah,
It is Srimati.
yeah. Like if the gopis love Krishna, all the other gopis also love Krishna, but they're extensions of Srimati Radharani. Right? And whatever love we have for Krishna, that's like Radharani's blessing. Yeah.
Not just
Yeah. Text 61. Satchid Ananda Purna Krishnera Swarupa Ekaichit Shakti Tanra Tare Tina Rupa. Mother Radehi?
Yes. Lord Krishna's body in the eternal Sat, full of knowledge, Sit, and full of bliss, Ananda, and the one spiritual energy manifest in three forms.
So Krishna has, there's a verse that says, Parasya Shakti or Vividaiva Shriyate, that Krishna has various potencies, but they're in one of these three categories, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Krishna's internal energy consists of these three different varieties. Text 62. Anandamshe Hladini Sadamshe Sandini Chidamshe Samvidyare Jnana Karimani.
It is also accepted as knowledge. Third, in his thesis, Bhagavad Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami explained the potencies of the Lord as follows. The transcendental potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by which he maintains his existence is called Sandini. The transcendental potency by which he knows himself and causes others to know him is called Samvit. The transcendental potency by which he possesses transcendental bliss and causes his devotees to have bliss is called Radhini. The total exhibition of these potencies is called Vishuddha Sattva, and this platform of spiritual variegatedness is displayed even in the material world when the Lord appears here. The pastimes and manifestations of the Lord in the material world are therefore not at all material. They belong to the pure transcendental state. The Bhagavad Gita confirmed that anyone who understands the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance, activities, and disappearance becomes eligible for freedom from material bondage upon quitting the present material tabernacle. He can enter the spiritual kingdom to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and reciprocate the Aladini potency in transactions between him and the Lord. In the mundane mode of goodness, there are tinges of passion and ignorance. Therefore, mundane goodness being mixed is called Mishra Sattva. But the transcendental variegatedness of Vishuddha Sattva is completely free from all mundane qualities. Vishuddha Sattva is therefore the proper atmosphere in which to experience the personality of Godhead and his transcendental pastimes. Spiritual variegatedness is eternally independent of all material conditions and is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both being absolute. The Lord and his devotees simultaneously perceive the Aladini potency directly by the power of Samvit potency. The material modes of nature control the conditioned souls, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never influenced by these modes, as all Vedic scriptures directly and indirectly corroborate. Lord Krishna himself says in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tattvam Rajas Tama Iti Guna Jivasya Naiva Me. The material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are connected with the conditioned souls, but never with me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vishnu Purana confirms this as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is beyond the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. No material qualities exist in him. May that original person, Narayan, who is situated in the completely transcendental position, be pleased with us. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Indra praises Krishna as follows. My dear Lord, your abode is Vishuddha Sattva, always undisturbed by the material qualities and the activities there are in transcendental loving service unto your feet. The goodness, austerity, and penance of the devotees enhance such activities which are always free from the contamination of passion and ignorance. Material qualities cannot touch you under any circumstances. When not manifested, the modes of material nature are said to be in goodness. When they are externally manifested and active in producing the varieties of material existence, they are said to be in passion. And when there is lack of activity and variegatedness, they are said to be in ignorance. In other words, the pensive mood is goodness, activity is passion, and inactivity is ignorance. Above all these mundane qualitative manifestation is Vishuddha Sattva. When it is predominated by Sandhini potency, it is perceivable as the existence of all that be. When predominated by the Samvit potency, it is perceived as knowledge and transcendence. And when predominated by Aladini potency, it is perceived as most confidential love of Godhead. Vishuddha Sattva, the simultaneous manifestation of these three in one, is the main feature of the kingdom of God. The absolute truth is therefore the substance of reality, eternally manifest in three energies. The manifestation of the internal energy of the Lord, the inconceivably variegated spiritual world. The manifestation of the marginal energy comprises the living entities, and the manifestation of the external energy is the material cosmos. Therefore, the absolute truth includes these four principles: the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, his internal energy, his marginal energy, and his external energy. The form of the Lord and the expansions of his form as Swayam Rupa and Vaibhav Prakasha are directly the enjoyers of the internal energy, which is the eternal exhibitor of the spiritual world, the most confidential of the manifestations of energy. The external manifestation, the material energy, provides the covering bodies of the conditioned living entities from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. This covering energy is manifested under the three modes of material nature and appreciated in various ways by living entities in both higher and lower forms of life. Each of the three divisions of the internal potency, the Sandhini, Samvit, and Aladini energies, influences one of the external potencies by which the conditioned souls are conducted. Such influence manifests the three qualitative modes of material nature, proving definitely that the living entities, the marginal potency, are eternally servitors of the Lord and are therefore controlled by either the internal or the external potency.
Okay, yeah, so this is a very philosophical purport. Prabhupada is basically contrasting the three modes of nature with these three internal potencies of the Lord. So, yeah, and he talks a lot about the Vishuddha Sattva platform, which is the transcendental platform above the three modes of material nature. So basically, Prabhupada often uses the analogy that it's like the sun is in the sky. So the sun represents, in the analogy, the sun represents Krishna. Krishna and Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, the spiritual world, everything spiritual. Okay. And then we are down here on the earth. And then as long as we're influenced or covered by the three modes of material nature, it's like you're standing on the earth, but there's a thick covering of clouds in the sky, and you can't see the sun. But the sun is there. But our vision of the sun is covered, but the sun is there in all of its glory, right? Up above the clouds. So in the same way, Krishna is always there. Krishna is always, I mean, Krishna is in our hearts. He's like, we are originally Krishna conscious beings, Prabhupada said. So our default setting as souls is to be Krishna conscious. And just like the normal position is that you look up in the sky and you see the sun. But when there are clouds there, then it's like an artificial covering. So the modes of nature form, different layers of conditioning on our consciousness, such that although we are inherently Krishna conscious, we forget about Krishna. So it creates a very like artificial kind of unnatural situation for the soul. So as soon as we clear away the influence of the modes, as soon as we're no longer influenced by the modes, then we come to the Vishuddha Sattvam platform and we can see Krishna, right? In the same way that as soon as the clouds clear up, we can see the sun. It's like that evident, right? Krishna's presence. So yeah, there's a verse from the fourth canto that says that on the Vishuddha Sattva platform, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifest without any covering. So the covering is all cleared. There's nothing blocking us from seeing Krishna. We can see Krishna.
It is basically we are the problem. It's not the Krishna.
Yeah, we are the problem.
It just covered.
Yeah, because it's not like Krishna doesn't, I mean, we cover ourselves.
Like we can feel that.
Yeah, we're like we were talking about the uluka, right? Or like the owl who's closing his eyes saying, I can't see Krishna, I can't see Krishna. Then Krishna can't be God, otherwise I would be seeing him. And since I can't see him, that means he doesn't exist. And Krishna's like, open your eyes. That's why Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitanjena Tasmai. Right? We're so ignorant. We're like choosing, no, I'm going to stay in my ignorance. And I am not going to do any processes of purification that will remove my ignorance. I refuse. Don't force me to chat.
Stay foolish.
Right?
Please, I can stay.
That's how ignorant people are. So that's the situation. But anyways, it's good because we learn in Bhagavatam that when we perform devotional service, then very quickly the modes of passion and ignorance subside. We become established in goodness, and that goodness is the springboard to this Vishuddha Sattva platform. And as soon as we are on this very pure Vishuddha Sattva platform without any tinges of any of the modes of nature, then we can become fully Krishna conscious. And then, yeah, what Prabhupada ends this purport by saying very amazingly, he says that there are the three modes of material nature that influence us in the material world when we're basically in Maya, when we're in material consciousness. But when we come to the Vishuddha Sattva platform, and there's no more influence of those three modes, there's still three energies that influence us. But those three energies are the three divisions of the internal potency, the Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini Shaktis. So we're always under the control of Krishna's energies. Either it's the three modes of material nature, his external energy, or it's these three divisions of his internal potency. But we're always under Krishna's control, and we're always empowered by his energies, and everything is working under his direction in the material and spiritual worlds. Yes, Drishta.
Yeah, you said that. But she's more specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she is the internal energy. Not that she's not.
Yep.
She's specifically Hladini Shakti. Right? Just like apples are a fruit,
And yoga
but not all fruits are apples.
is- see,
Yogamaya?
yoga. Is it-
Yeah. Yeah, Yogamaya is Yogamaya is a more broad category, I guess that's right to say. The thing is, Yogamaya is also like specific in her function, which is to cover.
The Krishna.
She's a yeah, because yeah, she covers and bewilders pure devotees on the spiritual platform. So Mahamaya covers us on the, I mean, it's not that Mahamaya is the only external potency. There's also different potencies that work in the material world. So yeah, I'm not 100% clear on that. Let's keep reading and maybe we're going to be more light will shed on that. Text 63. Ladini Sandini Samvit Twai. Wait, sorry, this is Bhagavad Gita melody. Ladini Sandini Samvit Twayeka Sarva Samstito Ladatapa Kari Mishra Twai no Guna Varjite.
O Lord, you are the support of everything. The three attributes, Ladini, Sandini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. But the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you. For you have no material qualities. Purport. This text is from the Vishnu Puran 1:6.
Yeah, so Krishna says when he talks about the material energies, he says Bina Prakriti Ashtadha, that the material energies are his separated material energies. They're separated from him. So there's a difference between the material and spiritual, that the spiritual energies exist in him and the material energies do not exist in him. So as long as we're under the influence of the material energies, then we're going to be distant from Krishna because they don't exist in him. They are his energies, but he's aloof from all these material, like for example, like the laws of karma and all these things. Krishna's like, it's just a system that's in place. It's all happening by Krishna's, Krishna makes that system, but he's aloof from it. Doesn't get personally involved with those things. He delegates.
Krishna gave me this, Krishna gave me that. Krishna has nothing to do with it. It's law of karma that's active.
Yeah, for materialistic people. It's only when you become a devotee, then Krishna gets personally involved. Otherwise, it's just karma, action, reaction. Huh? Your activity?
Yeah. Like your karma,
Well, he frees us from karma. We're talking about pure devotees in this world. They get free from their karma. When we surrender to Krishna, we get free from karma.
you said like if you become a devotee, then it's free. That's what you meant. With your activities?
Your life.
Okay, so that-
He takes over your life.
okay, so
Yes. That's why devotees don't need to worry. Just surrender to Krishna, everything's good. It's all in Krishna's hands. But if we don't surrender to Krishna, then there can be good, bad. I mean, ultimately, that's also good because Krishna's system is also good. But it may be that something is just, we may get something in our life that is not directly helping our Krishna consciousness. Whereas if we surrender to Krishna and tell Krishna that I just want to, go back to God. I just want to please you. I just want to offer my life to you and accept things that are favorable and reject things that are unfavorable. So please bring me only things that are favorable for, reviving my loving relationship with you. Then Krishna will. Otherwise, according to karma, we may get some, maybe we get promoted to heavenly planets. So that's not great for our devotional service, Sometimes they say that like merging, becoming one with the Brahmajyoti is like hell. But for me, I feel like going to heavenly planets is also like hell because it's too much sense gratification and there's not so much scope for serving Krishna and and it's so long, it lasts so long before you can actually really do your devotional service properly again.
You have to come back to your.
And you have to come back anyway, so it's like Divya?
I just had a thought, like, so the heavenly planets are different than like higher planet, like spiritual planetary systems where we get to meet devotees and like sages that are just performing so much tapasya and really, really like focused on Krishna and like so like like performing the austerity so severely and performing all those personalities are not in the heavenly planets, they're in some other higher
Yeah.
planet. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's different levels of higher planets. So Swargaloka, usually when we say heavenly planets, we're talking about Swargaloka, right? Where there's Indra and all those demigods that are like drinking Soma Ras and partying and having all their flying around in flower airplanes and things like that from enjoying, going to pleasure gardens and enjoying a lot of, dancing with the Apsaras and singing with the Gandharvas and like that, doing karaoke with the with the Gandharvas. Anyways, yeah. And then above Swarga is like there's the higher planets, which are, like Tapaloka, Maharloka, and Brahmaloka. So those are planets where there's sages doing austerities and meditating on the Lord and worshiping the Lord in different ways. But that also is not the spiritual world, it's still in the material world. So there's higher beings there and they're more focused on the Lord. But yeah, it's still not like, it's not the goal, it's not the final destination you want to be at.
Curious.
And you live for a very long time up there. So what's the use of just sitting there in Satyaloka doing like meditation for, 10,000 years or something?
I'm not sure, but devotees do go over there. They don't go.
I'm sure some do.
Yeah.
Prabhupada has this letter. It's like, if you didn't go back to go ahead, everyone went to heaven.
I think one time I heard Prabhupada disciples saying that Prabhupada once said that most of his devotees would be going to the heavenly planets. Because the reason that they joined was to get free from material suffering, but that they still were attached to material enjoyment, right? They want to get free from material suffering, but they still want material enjoyment. So as long as you still want material enjoyment, then, and because you do devotional service, you get a lot of like piety, so you become qualified to go there. And if you still want to enjoy materially, then it's like, there you go. So we have to let go of all these things, right? That's why in Nectar Devotion, Rupa Goswami is so strong about this thing of like, devotees do not desire liberation, nor they desire material opulence. They don't want like the positive side of material life, and they don't care about negating the negative side of material life. They just they're just not material. They just like material things just don't touch their mind. They're just immersed in Krishna.
But then it's gonna be so stuck in any of those planets. It's gonna be so hard to chant there and like do any austerity because you're surrounded by like all this.
In Swarga, if you go to Tapaloka, you can do austerity.
Yeah.
But he doesn't resonate with any of it. He's just
Yeah.
like, hmm. Tapaloka is usually where the yogis go. These yogis that they're really into like going up into the Himalayas and sitting in a stone and meditating and they take pride in their austerities. Like there was one yogi there. One time I was in Rishikesh, and this yogi, every single morning at like 3 a.m., he would get up and he would go bathe in the Ganga, and he would bathe naked. At that time, it was like pitch black, and he would like bathe naked, and then and it was cold. It was like really cold that time in the morning, and there would be wind. And then after bathing, he would just stand on a stone, like standing with his arms in the air, and just stand there until the wind like dried his body. And then he would put on his like cloth, whatever, and walk off. So there are people, that are very austere, and then that he's going to stay, doing his meditation, doing his whatever he does all day, his little practices, his yoga practices. So people like that, they're going to Tapaloka because they're attracted to austerity, but they're not devotees. They don't serve Krishna. They just do their austerities, and they're in the mode of goodness, and they're detached from material sense enjoyment, but they're not attached to Krishna. So then,
Basically.
yeah. My husband's really into austerities, and one time he said to me, he was like, if I don't make it back to Godhead, I'd like to go to Tapalok. I was just like, I am not going with you. I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, Pragati.
Can you explain something? Like earlier it says cognitive potency, but what exactly is it?
Samvit. Krishna says here that Samvit is the transcendental potency by which Krishna knows himself and causes others to know him. So this is the chit, the knowledge-giving potency. So yeah, it's by the mercy of this Samvit potency that we're able to know Krishna, that we're able to know anything basically, but to get spiritual knowledge.
Krishna knows himself.
Even Krishna knows himself by his own Samvit.
And he
Yeah, the transcendental potency by which he maintains his existence. So Sandini is the potency of existence. So we exist by dint of this Sandini potency. Right? Okay, text.
That's because we have a portion of Krishna in our heart, which is what portion? No, Karna Daksha, no. What portion?
Pure
of
Dakshaya
Krishna?
Vishnu.
Because you live in our heart, that's why it's the existential potency. Is that the reason we exist in that?
No, as souls, the soul is spiritual energy. So our existence as souls is because of the Sandini potency. I think we're going to hear more about it. Let's go on. Text 64. Sandinira Sara Amsha Shuddha Sattvanama Drama. Whose turn is it? Oh, wait, Lavanga, did you have a question?
It was just a comment about the higher planets because I had to give a class last week on Narada Muni talks with King Prachini, and at the very end of that chapter, it's a very long chapter, about 85 texts. Narada Muni invites King Prachini to go with him to Siddhaloka. And which I thought was interesting because he's like explaining, pure devotional service, to King Prachini. But then Prabhupada writes in the purport that it appears from this that Narada Muni resides in Siddhaloka. And then somebody brought up in a comment in the class that this actually took place before he got cursed by Daksha, that he couldn't stay in one place longer than 3 days. So concerning the higher realms, places like Siddhaloka, you have Narada Muni type personalities.
Yeah. Yeah, Siddhaloka is where they have all the mystic siddhis. So they can make themselves big and small, they can fly, they can do all kinds of things. It's like a transcendental, it's like a mystical amusement park.
And
Okay.
also,
Yeah.
Prabhupada, when Jayananda passed away, because you mentioned about Prabhupada said most of the disciples would go to the heavenly planets. When Jayananda passed away, there is that letter where Prabhupada
Yeah.
said, if you have any desire for material enjoyment, first you'll go to the heavenly planets, before he went back to the spiritual world.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to be careful. Whoosh. Get rid of all those material desires. Okay, text 64. The essential portion of the Sandini potency is Shuddha Sattva. Lord Krishna's existence rests upon it. So, Shuddha Sattva means pure goodness. Text 65. Mata pita stana griha shayasana ara esava Krishnara Shuddha Sattvera vikara.
Krishna's mother, father, sea, and so on are all and so on are all transformations of the
Hmm.
Lord Krishna's father, mother, household affairs are all displayed in the same Visuddha Tattva of existence. The living entities situated in the status of pure goodness can understand the form, qualities, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness begins on the platform of pure goodness. Although there is a faint realization of Krishna at first, Krishna is actually realized as Vasudeva, the absolute proprietor of omnipotence, or the prime predominating deity of all potencies. When the living entity is situated in Visuddha Tattva, transcendental to the three modes of material modes of nature, he can perceive the form, quality, and other features of Supreme Personality of Godhead through his service attitude. The status of pure goodness is the platform of understanding, but the Supreme Lord is always in spiritual existence. Krishna is always all spiritual, aside from the parents of the personality of Godhead. All of the paraphernalia of the existence are also essentially a manifestation of the sadhana Shakti, or transformation of Visuddha Sattva. To make this more clear, it may be said that this Shantini Shakti of internal potency maintains and manifests all the variegatedness of the spiritual world. In the kingdom of God, the Lord's servants and maid servants, his consorts, his father, mother, and everything else are all transformations of the spiritual existence of Sandhani Shakti. The
Existential.
existential Sandhani Shakti is the external potency, similarly expands all variegatedness of material cosmos, from which we can have a glimpse of the spiritual period.
So the Sandhini Shakti is explaining here that everything comes from it. Basically, everything that exists because of the Sandhini Shakti. Everything in the spiritual world, and Prabhupada is listing so many things. Well, Krishna's Kaviraj is listing Krishna's father, his mother, his house, his bed, his seats, his all the different things there. And in the material world also, that the existential Sandhini Shakti in the external potency expands as the cosmos, to planets, to everything. So everything that exists in the material and spiritual world all exists because of Krishna's Sandhini Shakti. And the Sandhini Shakti also maintains its existence. It manifests different things, brings them into existence, maintains their existence, makes them continue existing. Okay. All right. Oh, here's the verse that I was thinking of from fourth canto that talks about how when we're at the Vishuddha Sattva stage, then the Lord manifests. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yad Iyate Tatra Pumana Pavrita Sattve Chatasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadokshajo Me Manasa Vidiyate.
The condition of pure goodness is the Sat, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed without any covering, is called Vasudev. In that pure state, the Supreme Godhead, who is beyond the material senses and who is known as Vasudev, is perceived by my mind. Purport. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam 4.3.23, spoken by Lord Shiva when he condemned Daksha, the father of Sati, as an opponent of Vishnu, confirms beyond a doubt that Lord Krishna, his name, his fame, his qualities, and everything in connection with his paraphernalia exists in the Sandhini Shakti of the Lord's internal potency.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just confirming that everything that exists because of the Sandhini Shakti, of which this Vishuddha Sattva is a portion. Okay, now he's going to go into the Samvit Shakti. Krishna Bhagavata Jnana Samvitera Sara Brahma Jnana Dika Savatara Parivara.
The essence of the split potency is knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna. All other kinds of knowledge, such as the knowledge of Brahman, are confirmed. Perfect. The activities of the Samvit Shakti produce the effect of cognition. Both the Lord and the living entity are cognizant. Shri Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has full knowledge of everything, everywhere, and therefore there are no hindrances to his cognition. He can have knowledge merely by glancing over an object, whereas innumerable impediments block the cognition of ordinary living beings. The cognition of the living beings has three divisions: direct knowledge, indirect knowledge, and perverted knowledge. Sense perception of material objects by the mundane senses, such as the eye, ear, nose, and hand, always produces definitely perverted knowledge. This illusion is a presentation of the material energy, which is influenced by the Sambit Shakti in a perverted manner. Negative cognition of an object beyond the reach of sense perception is the way of indirect knowledge, which is not altogether imperfect, but which produces only fragmentary knowledge in the form of impersonal spiritual realization and monism. But when the Samvit factor of cognition is enlightened by the Ladini potency of the same internal energy, they work together, and only thus can one attain knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Samvit Shakti should be maintained in that state. Material knowledge and indirect spiritual knowledge are byproducts of the Samvit Shakti.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Very nice explanation.
Yeah, so all knowledge, any kind of knowledge comes from the Samvit Shakti. And so, yeah, he's saying that this sense perception is the perverted knowledge, because, you know, we think we know something because we saw it or because we heard it or because we smelled it or something, but it's just our senses are imperfect. So that knowledge is imperfect, and it's only in relation to the material world, which itself is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So that knowledge is kind of like, okay, it helps us to survive here in the material world, but in the ultimate issue, it's kind of useless. Then, yeah. And then negative cognition, he's referring to like speculation, like what the Gyanis do. Like Prabhupada would say neti, you know, like not this, not this. They just negate the world, that this world is illusion. And then they speculate that, oh, because there are varieties. So the perverted knowledge is of the material world is like getting like what scientists do. They're like understanding all the different varieties of this material world. They're studying the different elements, the different species, the different organisms, the different energies that are at work in this world. And then the knowledge of the Gyanis is that no, this material world is an illusion, it's useless. So they negate the material world, but they don't have anything positive to present. And so by their speculation, they just come to like a voidism, kind of impersonal spiritual realization, and monism, like, okay, we're just all one, you know, there's no variety in the spiritual world, because it has to be the opposite, because we're trying to negate the material world. And so we're saying this is not reality. And so everything that exists in this illusion can't exist in reality. So because there's variety in the illusion, there can't be variety in the reality. So they come up with this is their negative cognition, that it's like just one. And then, but then Prabhupada says, but when the Samvit factor, when the Samvit Shakti is enlightened by the Hladini potency, in other words, Srimati Radharani, or the blessings of, you know, Srimati Radharani coming through disciplic succession, work together, then only can we actually understand Krishna. So if we just speculate, so the Sandhini and Samvit Shaktis are not enough for us to actually understand Krishna. We need Radharani's help. We need the Hladini potency. And then because it's impossible to know Krishna without knowing him with his devotees and with the loving relationships, with the different, you know, 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary rasas, and how Krishna enjoys all those relationships as the supreme enjoyer. And like, there's no enjoyment without Hladini potency. So if there's no Hladini potencies, we can't know Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And without Hladini potency, he can't enjoy. So they can understand that, okay, there's a spiritual energy out there somewhere, but they can't come to like realize Krishna. Right. Okay, 5 o'clock. Tomorrow we're going to start. So we're trying to understand Srimati Radharani, but we're backing up and going to, okay, she's part of Krishna's internal potency. He has 3 different aspects to this internal potency, and she's one of them. So first we're seeing what the other 2 are, so we can get a context for understanding what she is. So we're going to start text 68 on Monday, talking about Hladini Shakti. And then we're going to get personal about Srimati Radharani. Let's see if anybody's out here today. Nope. Everybody's speechless today. No, since we started Caitanya Caritamrita, people have been a little stunned, stunned in ecstasy. No comments. Yeah. No, it shows that people are seeing, they're just not commenting. Right? Huh?
It's too technical to do.
Yeah, you just have to listen. Okay, thank you very much. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada